going to read to you. He's going to tell you, okay, you either got a full pre-trip, or you may have the approach under the hood to the hub seal, or you may have the windshield back to the tractor, or you may have just the trailer itself. If you just do the trailer itself, you got to do a coupling before you do the trailer. Okay? So right now we're going to do it like the state test where you go from front bumper to back bumper. Okay? It's timed. It's 40 minutes. If they ask you, he tells you you're going to do the whole thing, I'm going to ask him if he'll get inside because I want to do my in-cabin air brakes right now. And he will do that. So let's go ahead and get inside the vehicle now, guys. It's a 3-point entry. Okay. Make sure I'm all settled and everything else. Sure the brakes are set. It's in neutral. Waiting on the computer to scan the gauges. And then I want to fire up. Okay. While this is idling up, I'm going to go ahead and release my brakes. Before that, I'm going to go ahead and put my seatbelt on. It ain't worn, torn, or frayed, and it securely latches. Now I'm going to go ahead, make sure my brakes are released. And while this is pressuring up, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my mirror over here. Okay, my mirror, it's clean, not cracked or broken. It's adjusted properly, it's secured to my truck. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about my window. It rolls up and down. And it's clean, not cracked or broken. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my windshield. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hit my horns right now. Got my city, my air. Now I'm going to go to my windshield. Okay, it ain't cracked or broken, no obstruction of my view. It's clean, the seal's intact, and it does not leak. Right in front of that, I got my wipers in there. Okay, full contact to the windshield. It operates properly, rubber seal's intact. And as you can see is I got my fluid. After that, I'm going to go and get my defroster right now. Okay, my defroster. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And it is over here. I'm going to hit my heater, my defroster right there. Turn it on, make sure it's on heat. There it is. Now I'm going to get my floor and my vents right here. Show them that it works. Okay, it's on here. And then it's working down here properly. Now after I do that, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my defroster and heater and everything else. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go ahead and check for the second time, make sure my brakes are released. Okay, they're released. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn on my lights. Okay, there's my high beam, there's my low beam. I got a left indicator, a right indicator, got my emergency flashers right here, and right here is I got my dash lights. Okay, because you want to be able to see at night while you're driving. Now after that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my gauges. Okay, right here I got my oil gauge. It's 35 to 75. I got my air pressure, it's 120 to 140. Okay, my water temp is from 165 to 185. And right here is I got my volts between 12 and 14 on my dash. Now after that, I'm going to check and make sure my brakes are released. Okay. And now I'm going to do my air brake test, my LWPPS, my brake test. I'm going to make sure I got my 120. Okay, got it right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and kill it. But before I do it, third time, check and make sure that it's killed. They're released. Now I'm going to kill it. Turn the key back on. Now I'm going to check my leak test. Okay, I'm going to hold at least 90 pounds of pressure for 1 minute. I should not lose no more than 4 psi. Now I'm going to put my foot on the brake, wait on the initial drop. Okay, the initial drop is right now, so I'm going to start my timer. Okay, it's still going. Might be getting close because my leg's shaking. Make sure you go about a minute, second over, because he might not have started his when you started yours. So go about a couple of seconds over a minute, and then show it to him and show him that was a good test, okay? But right now, okay, I got a minute and 2, and it held. Didn't go no more than a 4 psi in that minute, so that was a good test. Now I'm going to go ahead and try my warning light test. Okay, my warning light should come on before 60 psi. So I'm going to go ahead and start pumping. Okay, my warning light came on. Okay, so that was a good test. So I did my leak, my warning, now I'm doing my protection valve. Okay, now protection valves, I'm going to keep pumping and they're going to both pop out before 40 and 20. In between 40 and 20 they're going to pop out. But make sure you don't touch them after you kill this truck. Okay, there's a trailer. Okay, there's my tractor. And that is before.
Gotcha.
That's in between 20 and 40, so that was a good test.
Hey, Giles, what's your location?
Okay, so after that, that was a good test. Now, I don't have no air pressure right now, so I'm going to do a pressure buildup test. So I'm going to go ahead and safe start my vehicle. Okay, I know they popped out. I'm still checking them. Still make sure I'm in neutral. I'm clutching. Now I'm going to start the vehicle. My ABS light came on. Okay, it went back off, so my ABS light is working properly. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a pressure buildup. It says that normal operating while you're going down the road. Okay, so I'm going to put this around 13 to 14 on RPMs. Then I'm going to time it. And when it gets to 85, I'm going to start my timer. And it should get to 100 within 45 seconds. Okay? So when that gets up there, okay, right there's 85. Start my timer. And right there's 100. It didn't take no more than 45 seconds to get to 100, so that was a good test. Now I'm going to keep on doing my pressure buildup until I hear my air cut off. And it'll cut off between 120 and 140. Okay, that was a cutoff. Now I'm going to do my parking brake test. Okay, so I'm going to pull up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to set my brakes for a second because I got to get out and get my wheel chock because I'm out on a hill. So set my brake, went to neutral. I'm going to retrieve my chock. And I'm going to do a 3-point exit facing the truck. Go ahead and put your seatbelt back on. Okay, now I'm going to put it in first gear. I'm going to go ahead and try my tractor brake first. Okay, put in gear. Let out that clutch slowly. Fill it load. That was a good test. Now I'm going to try my trailer brake. Same thing, left in gear. I'm going to pull on it a sec. It's going to move just a little bit and then right there. Okay, that held. So that was a good test on the parking brake. Now I'm going to do my service brake test. Okay, I'm going to put it in third gear. I'm going to get up to 5 miles an hour and get up to 5 miles an hour. Then I'm going to clutch and brake, let go of the steering wheel and make sure it didn't pull left or right. If it did pull left or right, I'd go have it serviced. But since it didn't pull, that was a good test. Now I'm going to set my brakes. And now I'm going to ask the state examiner, would you mind getting outside and let me do a light check? So he's going to go out there and stand. Then I'm going to roll down my window, turn the key on, roll down my window, and I'm going to turn on my running lights. Okay, my running lights are on and my headlights. I got my high beams. Make sure my running lights working on top too as well. I got a left indicator. I got my right indicator and he's out front there. Now I got my emergency flashers and they're working properly. Will you assist me in the back of the truck and trailer, please? So I'm turning everything off. He's going back here to the back. And then he's back here waiting now. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my light again. Okay, there's my running lights. Okay, there's my left turn signal. There's my right turn signal. Here's my emergency flashers. There's my brakes. Now I'm going to show you my reverse lights on my trailer. Hey. Okay. Will you assist me up front now? This one I'm going to get out. Turn everything off. And then we're going to go start the front of the truck. I'm doing a 3-point exit. Then I'm going to come out here to him. Okay, I'm going to start with the approach of my vehicle. I'm going to make sure it ain't leaning. There's no fluids or pedals or trips. If there's a lean, it means a low tire or a broken suspension. Now I'm going to come up here and talk about my lights. I got my high beam and low beam. They're clean, they're clear, they're not cracked or broken, and they operate properly. Here is my amber turn signals. Okay, they're clean, not cracked or broken, and they also work properly. Up here on top, I got my running lights. They're amber in color, they're secured to the truck. They're clean, not cracked or broken, and they also work properly. Now I'm going to come over here to the side. I'm going to go ahead and open my hood up, my handle on this side. Now on my way over, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my fender mirror. It's secured to the truck. It ain't cracked or broken. The mirror's clean, secure, it's properly adjusted. Now I'm going to go the other side. Go ahead and open this side up. Alright, now remember, I talked about the mirror on one side. It says you're always going to check everything down the driver's side unless there's something unique to the other side, then you can inspect that. So right now, I went ahead and already got my mirror there. Now I'm going to do my PUD. While I'm opening up, it opens up properly. It's clean, not cracked or broken. There's no obstruction of my view. And now I'm going to come over here to this side. While I'm over here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my wiper reservoir. Okay? It's got adequate level. It ain't cracked or broken. It's secure with nuts and bolts. The cap is secure and tight with rubber seal, and it does not leak. Okay, while I'm over here, I'm going to talk about my hoses and clamps. They're not worn, torn, or frayed. The clamps are secure and tight. And then right here, I got my alternator. Okay, my alternator. No loose missing bolts, the wires and clamps are secure and tight, no bare wires. It's a belt-driven alternator. And the belt, not worn, torn, or frayed, no more than 3/4 of play on that belt. And then while I'm here, I'm still talking about my hoses and clamps. They're secure and tight. Now we're going to go to the other side. Now I'm going to finish up with all my fluids over this side. So right now I got my coolant. It's secure with nuts and bolts. Ain't cracked or damaged. The hoses and fittings are secure and tight. They do not leak. Adequate level. Cap secure tight with rubber seal. And it doesn't leak as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about my oil. I pull my dipstick out, wipe it off, put it back in, and check it again. Make sure it's between and full. If I had to add it, I'd add it right here. Okay. Now, right here, I got a belt-driven water pump. No loose missing bolts, ain't cracked or damaged. The clamp's secure and tight, and it does not leak. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and talk about my power steering reservoir. It's secure with nuts and bolts. The hoses and clamps are secure and tight. They're not worn, torn, or frayed. The cap's got adequate level. The clamp's got a seal. It's not leaking. Now I'm going to follow my big hose right here. The clamp's secure and tight. The hose not worn, torn, or frayed. And it goes right down here to in the front. Right there, and that's a gear-driven power steering pump. No loose missing bolts, it ain't cracked or damaged, and it does not leak. And right behind it there, I got a gear-driven air compressor. The fittings and hoses, the clamps, secure and tight. They're not cracked or broken. It's gear-driven, and it does not leak. Okay, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my steering linkage. No excessive movement. Ain't cracked or broken. No loose missing nuts or bolts on each end. It's properly greased. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to my steering box. The steering box. No loose missing bolts. Ain't cracked or damaged. The hoses and fittings are secure and tight. They do not leak, and it's properly greased. Now I'm going to come down to my fitment arm. It ain't cracked or broken. The nuts and bolts are secure and tight. And then down here on the bottom of it, I got a crown nut and quarter pin on each end of my drag link, which ain't cracked or broken. Okay? The crown nut is secure and tight. The pins are not broken or missing. And it's properly greased. Okay, after that, I'm going over to my other side here. I got a steering knuckle here. If y'all want to look down in here, this is my steering knuckle right here. Okay, no loose missing bolts, and it's got a crown nut and quarter pin as well with the pin in place. And the boot, it's properly greased, and the knuckle is not cracked or broken, and it's properly greased as well on the top. Now right below there, I got a tie rod. It goes from each tire. Okay, it's got a crown nut and quarter pin on each end, and it's properly greased. It ain't cracked or broken. Now that's all my steering components. Now I'm going to go to my suspension. I'm going to talk about my leaf spring hangers. Okay, it ain't cracked or broken. No loose missing bolts. And the rubber bushing's in place in my leaf spring. And my leaf spring ain't shifted, cracked, or broken. And remember, I got a spring hanger on each end you got to talk about. And then I got my U-bolts. They're not cracked or broken. No loose missing bolts. They're secured and tight. Right here, I got a shock. Okay? It's got a nut and bolt on each end, rubber bushings in place, and it does not leak. That is all my suspension. Now I'm going to my braking components now, guys. Okay? My supply, my service line. It ain't worn, torn, or frayed. The fittings are secure and tight on each end, and they do not leak. And they supply air to my brake chamber. My brake chamber. The clamps in place. They ain't cracked or broken. No hose. Fittings are secure and tight. No loose or missing bolts, and it does not leak. Now I'm going to go ahead to my push rod in here. Some are automatic adjusters. Some are not. So when the brakes were released, I'd go ahead and pull on my push rod. Should be no more than 1 inch of travel, and it shouldn't be bent or broken. My slack adjuster. No loose or missing pins. No loose or missing bolts as well. It ain't cracked or broken. And it is properly greased. Now I'm going to go inside my tire. I got a brake lining. They're not worn dangerously thin, which is no less than 1/4 inch. And it ain't cracked or broken, and it does not have no contaminants. Okay, my drum. It ain't cracked or broken. No hose. And if I don't have no contaminants on my lining, I'm not going to have them on my drum. Now I'm going to come out, talk about my tire. I got even wear. I got 4/32 on the depth. I check it right here, and with the tire gauge, and I put in what are recommended by the manufacturer on that air. Now on the side, no bulges, cracks, or dry rot. Now my rim is seated to my tire. It ain't cracked, no illegal welds or rust trails. Now I'm going to do my valve stem. My valve stem, not cracked or broken. It's got a DOT metal cap, and it does not leak. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my lug nuts. Okay, my lug nuts are secure and tight. They're not loose or missing, no radiant cracks or distortion. If I didn't have no rust trails on my rim, I ain't going to have them on my lug nuts. My hub seal, it's got adequate level, and it does not leak. Okay, then he would stop me right here and tell me to secure the hood. So, kill it right there. Do from the windshield back to the back of the tractor right now. We just got through with A, and then he tells me, okay, we're going to do the windshield back. He'll say from the driver's door, fuel tank area, onto the back of the tractor. So right now, I got an amber running light right here. It's clean, not cracked or broken, and it operates properly. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my mirror. It's secured to the truck door. It ain't cracked or damaged. It's clean and adjusted properly so I can see. Now I'm going to go ahead and open my door, show you that it works. The seal's intact. My window rolls up and down. It's clean. And then I'm going to go ahead, my seals, my hinges, they work properly, no loose or missing bolts. Okay, my handrails are secure and tight, they're not loose or missing. I'm going to go ahead and open my compartment door while I'm here. And then I'm going to go ahead and shut it and make sure the door is shut properly. Now I'm going to come down here. I got my batteries. right here. Okay, they're secure with nuts and bolts. The case, okay, the battery's inside. There's no corrosion, no bare wires. They're secure and tight, and it works properly. Right below there, I got my air tanks. My air tanks are secured with straps, and the straps ain't cracked or broken, and it is properly drained daily, and it does not leak. Now I'm going to come over here to my depth tank. The cap is secure and tight. Rubber seals intact, does not leak. My straps is secure with nuts and bolts. It's not loose or missing. And my tank, no severe dents, no holes, and it does not leak. Now I'm going to come over here and jump back up here, and I'm going to show you my safety equipment. Okay, my safety equipment. Here's my fire extinguisher. It's secure, properly charged, tag up to date. Here's my fuses and bulbs, first aid kit. Then I got my 3 triangle reflectors right here. And then I'd have a wheel shock right there. Okay, now, go ahead. I'm going to go back because I forgot my steps. My steps are not loose or missing, no debris. Now I'm going to come back over here to my tank. My tank, the lid's secure and tight. Rubber seals intact, does not leak. My straps are not cracked, broken, no loose or missing bolts, and it's secured to my tank. And my tank and no severe dents, no holes. And it does not leak as well. Now I'm going to come over here. Now I'm going to talk about my steps. They're secure and tight, no loose or missing bolts. And then I got my catwalk. It's secured to my frame, no loose or missing bolts. And then right below that, I got my exhaust. My exhaust has the clamps. They're secure and tight, no loose missing bolts, no signs of leaks. Now I got my drive shaft here, my U-joints, no loose missing bolts. They're properly greased, they ain't cracked or broken. I'm going to follow it all the way down over here. And then I got a torque arm. My torque arm, no loose missing bolts, rubber gaskets in place, ain't cracked or broken. Now I got a service line here. My service line not worn, torn, or frayed. My service line goes down into here. The fitting's secured tight. This is my brake chamber. The clamp's in place, ain't cracked or broken. The clamp's secure and tight, and it does not leak. Right in here, I got a push rod. When the brakes are released, no more than 1 inch of travel, and it ain't bent or broken. Now I got my slack adjuster right here. No loose missing bolts. The clamps, fittings are secure and tight. Okay, I got my grease inserts, and they're properly greased. Now I'm going to come in here to inside my tire. Okay, I got my brake lining. They're not cracked or broken. They're not dangerously thin, no less than 1/4 inch, and no contaminants. Here's my drum. My drums are not cracked, broken, no holes, and it does not have contaminants either on it. Now I'm going to come out here. While I'm right here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my frame. No illegal welds, it ain't cracked or broken, no rust trails. And then I got a cross member. Secure with nuts and bolts, it ain't loose. And they come over here. And my leaf spring hangers, not cracked or broken, no loose or missing bolts. And right here, I got a spring hanger. No loose or missing bolts, the rubber bushings in place. And my leaf springs are not shifted, cracked, or broken. Now I'll go over here, I've got my U-bolts. They're secure with nuts and bolts. They're not cracked or damaged and not missing. And then I got a shock right there. My shock, no loose or missing bolts on each end. And it does not leak. Okay, I'm going to come ahead and come out, and then I'm going to go to my airbags. So I come out here. I got bud spacing. It's evenly spaced and no debris. Now I'm going to come out and get my tire again. My tires, even wear. I got 2 tires, so it's going to be 2/32 on the depth. And it's 100 pounds of pressure, what is recommended by the manufacturer, and I checked it with the tire gauge. No bulges, cracks, or dry rot on the side. Now I'm going to go, and my seal around my tire and rim is not leaking. My rim is not cracked, broken, no illegal welds or rust trails. I got a valve stem. It's secure. It ain't cracked or broken. It's got a DOT metal cap, and it does not leak. My lug nuts are secure and tight. There's no radiant cracks or distortion or rust trails, signs of a loose lug nut. They're all secure and tight. I got an axle seal in here. The gasket is secure right here with nuts and bolts, and it does not leak, and it's got adequate level. Okay, I'm going to come over here. I've got my airbag right here. My mount, secure and tight, no loose or missing bolts, and it holds up my airbag. My airbag ain't worn, torn, or frayed, and it does not leak. Now, I do this axle same as I did this axle. So if I say I missed a valve stem on this one, and I said I'd do this axle same as that one, well, I missed two things on that because I said the same thing here. Okay, now I'm going to come back here and talk about my mud flaps and reflectors. They're secure, no loose missing bolts. Got DOT tape on it, and they're not missing. Now while I'm under here, I'm going to go finish up the back of my B, which is my tractor. Okay, my lights, they're clean, they're secure with nuts and bolts. They're not cracked or damaged, and they work properly. It's my running lights and my turn signal and my brake lights. Clear is my reverse lights on both of them. Okay, that's going to be it on B. Now I'm going to go ahead and start my coupling next. Okay, my coupling. Go ahead and point up here. Okay, here's my apron. Okay, it ain't bent, broken, no holes, and there's no daylight between my apron and my fifth wheel. There's my kingpin inside there. It ain't cracked, broken, or loose or missing. And then as you can see, my locking jaw is around my kingpin. Now I'm going to get out and do the side of my coupling. Now I'm going to start talking about my coupling right here. Okay, here's my mounting bolts. Right here. Here's my bracket, my L bracket. It's secured to the frame. It ain't cracked or broken. And it's also secured to my slide assembly. Okay, my pins are in a locked position. They ain't cracked or broken. It's air actuated too. So there's my hose right there. My fittings, they're not worn, torn, or frayed. They're not cracked or broken, and they do not leak. Okay, now I'm going to come up to my platform base here. My platform base is properly greased right here. They ain't cracked or broken. And it's also adjusted properly so I don't hit my landing gear in my turns. My release arm's in the locked position. Okay, my fifth wheel skid plate, it's properly greased, and the pins are in place. They're not missing. Now I'm going to go up to the front and finish up my coupling with my air and electrical lines. Okay, right here I got my glad hands, and I also got a rubber seal in place. There's a rubber seal. It ain't worn, torn, or frayed. And on both ends, I'm checking my tractor and my trailer. And I'm checking, make sure it does not leak on either one of them. Now I'm going to check my electrical connector. Make sure it's in the locked position. Now I got my air lines. They're not worn, torn, or frayed. And there are no holes, and they do not leak. Here's my electrical. They're not cut, spliced, or taped, no bare wires. And neither one of them is rubbing on the catwalk. And I'm checking my tractor and my trailer as I'm doing this. Now, that's going to be it on that part. Now I'm going to do the front of the trailer to the back. Now I'm going to come up here and talk about the front of my trailer. No loose or missing bolts. It ain't cracked or damaged. No hose. It's not loose. The nuts and bolts right here. Okay, I got an amber running light here. Okay. It's clean, not cracked or broken, it operates properly. Now I'm going to look at my stake pockets and my reflective tape. It's evenly spaced. There ain't no cracked or broken on the frame. Okay, check my floor in my bed. There's no hose. Now I'm going to go ahead and come down here and I'm going to talk about my landing gear. Okay, my landing gear. No loose missing bolts. Right, and ain't cracked or broken. properly greased with the fittings. There's no leaks on it. My handle is secure. And my feet or legs or whatever you want to call them, no loose missing bolts. They're secure and they're not broken or missing. And my mounts are secure and tight with nuts and bolts. Now guys, I'm going to come on down here. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my ratchet straps. Okay? They're not broken or missing. They're not damaged in either way. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about my frame. No illegal welds, right? Ain't cracked. They're not rusted. And my cross members. They're not cracked or broken. They're not loose or missing. And they're secure and tight. Now I'm going to come on down while I'm doing this. Okay, right here I got my amber running light and my turn signals. Okay, it ain't cracked or broken. It's secure, right? And it works properly. I'm going to come on down here. And while I'm under here, you want to get under here with me and we'll talk about this. Okay, here's my service lines. They're not worn, torn, or frayed. The fittings are secure and tight. Okay, and they're not loose or missing. Right here, it goes to my hoses. My fittings are secure and tight in my brake chamber. My clamps are secure, not loose or missing. Okay, and then I've got a push rod. No more than 1 inch of travel when released and they ain't bent or broken. My slack adjuster. No loose or missing bolts. The pins are in place. It's properly greased. And it goes inside my tire, which is my brake lining. They're not worn dangerously thin. They're not no less than 1/4 inch. They ain't cracked or damaged. And there's no contaminants. Okay, and here's my drum right here. Ain't cracked or broken, no hose. And I should not have no contaminants on that as well. Now, while I'm under here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about I got my air ride suspension here. But first, I'm going to talk about my tandems. Okay, it's air actuated. Okay, my pins are in a lock position. They're not cracked or broken. And they do not leak in the fittings. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to talk about my suspension here with my axle beam. Okay, it ain't cracked or broken, no illegal welds on it, no loose missing bolts. And I'm going to talk about my shock. Nuts and bolts on top and bottom, and it does not leak. Right here I've got my airbag mount, no loose or missing bolts. Okay, it ain't broken or missing. Here's my airbag. They're not worn, torn, or frayed, and they do not leak. Now I'm going to come on out here now. I'm going to do my butt spacing again. It's evenly spaced and no debris. Now I'm going to come out to my tire on the outside. Okay, I got even wear. I got 2 tires, so it's going to be 2 30-seconds on the depth. And it's 100 pounds of pressure, water recommended by the manufacturer, and I check it with the tire gauge. No bulges, cracks, or dry rot on the side of my tire. It's seated to my rim. My rim ain't cracked, broken, no illegal welds or rust trails. Right here I got a DOT metal cap on my valve stem, and it ain't cracked or broken, and it does not leak. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my lug nuts. Okay, they're secure and tight. They're not loose or missing. There's no radiant cracks or distortion or rust trails. Here's my hub seal. No loose or missing bolts, adequate level, does not leak. Okay, now I'm going in between the tires here, my tandems. Okay, I got an air tank. Okay, my air tank, it's secured with nuts and bolts. Ain't cracked or damaged, no hose. And it does not leak, and it is drained daily. Now I do this axle same as that axle. Now I'm going to come back here and talk about my mud flaps. My mud flaps are secure and tight. They're not loose or missing. The nuts and bolts. And that's it on that. Rubber seals and tape. Okay, right here I got a running light again. It's red in color. It's clean, not cracked or broken, and works properly. Right here I got my amber ABS light. If it came on, I could go ahead and have it fixed, but if the light came on, I could still run, but I'd have to have it fixed as soon as possible. And it works properly if it came on, right? Now we're going to come back here. I want to talk about my bumper. Got the DOT tape. It's secure. No illegal welds. No rust trails. No loose missing bolts and nuts. I'm going to come up and talk about my tag. My tag is secure and tight. My tag is secure and tight. Nuts and bolts. It's legible. Okay, my tag light works too, so we can see at night. Now after that, I got my running lights. Okay, they're clean and colored. They're not cracked or broken. They're clean and they work properly. Now I got these are my turn signals and my brake lights and running lights. They're clean in color, they're not cracked or broken, they work properly. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my bumper guards. You don't have to, but I do anyway. They're not worn, torn, or missing. Then my stake pockets. And then if I had a load, I'd make sure it's secured. And that completes my test.